Alright guys, so it is Christmas Eve and guess what? I am going to work. So why not ride the bike since the traffic is really nice? And what you see here is my newly acquired city commuting gym. This is the Honda NC700X, and the reason I got this bike is because the seller is offering it at a great price, and as you can see, it fits my bag, comes with a stock luggage, very easy to use, very easy to remove, and it fits my backpack. So when I get to work, I'm able to take my backpack and then leave my riding jacket in there. And also the crazy nice thing, that's one reason I always wanted a NC700X, is this front little helmet luggage case. It actually fits my full face helmet completely, so that's another great thing. I can leave my gears in the top case, I can leave my helmet in the front, and just take my backpack to go to work. And in this video I am going to do one of the I'm going to do a ride to work, and this is going to be one of the few rides left to go to work because I have found a fully remote job starting next year, and it's Christmas Eve. My last day is next week, so just a few more rides, and we should be able to actually get a conclusion on how well this bike works commuting to work. Okay, so again, bike has close to 20,000 miles on it, but again, it actually rides great. I'm gonna turn on the engine and you guys can hear the engine sound. Okay, and this is my car key, so I guess I'll leave my car key somewhere. And we're pretty much ready to ride to work. Not gonna take any major highways, just gonna be in the city, in and out of the traffic. And again, it's not gonna be much traffic because it's Christmas Eve. And we're pretty far away from any major shopping area, so nobody's gonna bother us with a lot of traffic. Kids are all at home, celebrating and be with the family, and I am going to work. Okay, so I'll start talking once we start riding. And all right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the comfort of this riding position. It's actually more comfortable than my standard naked F800R. And again, my video is going to be largely based on the comparison of my other motorcycles and scooters that I have. The seat height is quite high, okay, 32 inches 32 inches and more. I think it's 830 millimeters, so it's high. I'm not able to have both foot on the ground fully, so I have to have my tip of my foot on the ground, as you can see, on both sides. But again, the bike is not unbalanced or anything, and you're able to actually just have both tips on the ground very nicely. I don't have any fear of the bike tipping over because of the low center of gravity of the design of this bike. The entire gas tank is actually mostly under my seat, and the engine is very low in the front, very low in the front. Okay, so the gearing of the bike is also great. It's better geared for city riding, actually. The first and second gear are not as short as the F800R, which I find, you know, constantly have to shift in this kind of stop and go traffic. So again, this bike is adventure looking, but it's actually just mostly geared towards the city commuters. And I'm surprised that it's Christmas Eve, still a lot of traffic going on. Again, the good news is we are going to be riding local small roads, so I'm not gonna have to compete with them quite a lot. Seating position is very comfortable. Once you sit on the bike, it's more upright than the F800R. Take a turn here. And the windscreen that the seller put on, it's slightly taller, so it blocks most of the wind from the body. But there are still going to be wind coming over your helmet, which is okay. Always wear a helmet, of course. And I wouldn't be riding this bike if it's not because the previous accident that destroyed my Honda NC700X DCT. So I was able to buy a few different bikes from the settlement money and be able to actually find bikes that are more suitable for my riding needs. And this is one of the, I guess, my happy purchase actually. It's even though I got the F800R at a great price and it's all decked out, it feels more like a hooligan bike. It does put smiles on my face. This bike just puts easiness in my mind. Like I'm not smiling like when I'm riding it, just close to, this is like a feeling in between riding a scooter and riding my F800R, if you know what I mean. So it's also able to give you a little bit of the extra kick if you need to accelerate in the city. It's got about, I think, 48 or 58 brake horsepower and 43 foot-pound of torque. And the F800R, in comparison with the aftermarket exhaust and the exhaust head, gives about 90 to 91 brake horsepower and quite a lot more torque. I believe the torque is rated at 60 or 70 foot-pounds, maybe 60 foot-pounds. So if you are one of those hooligans that you always twist the throttle to the max, the F800R is going to give you more fun. Again, that's why it puts smiles on my face, even though I'm not a hooligan rider. This one, if I need to accelerate fast, maybe I'll show you guys. I'm able to accelerate fast, and 0 to 60 I think is about 4-5 seconds. And now I have a laptop case with pretty heavy stuff in my bag, and everything's loaded in the top case. The motorcycle still feels very balanced. And I'm surprised at 20,000 miles, this bike, again, has nothing wrong with it at all. Again, valve clearance I probably needs to check eventually. Gonna get new spark plugs for sure. And let's see. One thing this bike doesn't have, would be a nice to have feature, is a gear indicator. It's only got a neutral indicator but no gear indicator. This is a 6-speed bike. Once in a while I would find myself actually downshifted too much and I forgot. I put my clutch hands, I released my clutch hands, and the bike just lugs with strong engine brake. So that's just something that I need to kind of remember and be more careful when I'm riding. Other than that, very, very nice bike to ride. I would say it's probably underrated. Because there are so many talks about other bikes, more expensive bikes, cheaper bikes. But this bike, if you buy it used, you can land a really good deal on a bike that's gonna pretty much last you forever on this little quote-unquote Honda Fit engine cut in half. Okay. So the tire is rotted in the front. I ordered a brand new tire. Hopefully that tire is gonna come and alleviate some of my concerns with a rotted front tire. For now it rides okay, but I should have negotiated a better price than what I paid. Again, I paid a little more than $2,000, but I still wanted just a little bit less. So at least I can save some money on getting brand new tires and a whole bunch of other replacement parts that I have to order. This is the Coral Gables golf course. Quite busy today, Christmas Eve. And did I mention the very joyful super light clutch? Very easy to pull. My F800R clutch is a lot heavier, much less enjoyable to pull, and that's probably why sometimes I also just doesn't like riding it in the traffic, even though it excels at, you know, going in and out of the traffic. So yeah, after the comparison, it becomes more clear and clear that NC700X is a much better commuter option compared to F800R. And in my F800R video that I mentioned, the F800R is more fun in commuting compared to my scooter, compared to my maxi scooter. But once I started riding this bike, it's instantly understood this is an even better option for urban city commute. Okay, and parts availability, quite common parts are widely available online, and you can get cheap parts from the website called WeBike. It's a Japanese website selling all the Japanese OEM stock components from Japan. They ship it to US rather quickly and reasonably with the shipping cost. So in terms of parts availability, you're gonna find that it's easier to find parts for the NC700 as opposed to the BMW F800R that I have. Now, it's not to say F800R is more expensive, it's just this one is more widely available compared to the F800R. So that's the parts. Suspension on this bike is a lot more plush. Okay, a lot more plush than the F800R, and I would call primitive. This is just your basic suspension. Damping, no adjustment, no rebound. A little bit of preload adjustment on the back, which requires a lot of tools. On the BMW F800R, it's just a flip of a knob, so it's quite easier. So yeah, again, further proves that this is just your normal commute bike. You're not gonna dial a lot of stuff on this bike, you're just gonna ride. 20 seconds. And if I have my one foot on the foot peg, I can flat foot on the other foot, so it's rather easy. And again, the bike doesn't feel top heavy at all. So that's one good thing about the NC700 compared to other probably bigger liter bikes that might be a little bit harder to handle. Now, another interesting thing is comparing the DCT model of this bike, of the same engine, with this fully manual option. Personally, after riding the DCT, which is a bike that was totaled from the previous accident, and I also have a review of the CTX 700. I feel like the manual shifting option is definitely a better buy compared to the DCT model. Now in the United States, it kind of sucks because you won't be able to get ABS if you don't buy the DCT on this bike. However, I feel like if this is your city commuter, ABS is really not, you know, that essential compared to maybe if you're riding on the highway, more high-speed riding on more dangerous situations. So in that regard, I still think the manual focus model is a better buy. Less maintenance, less parts to break, and very easy to replace the clutch and things. Okay, so and the engine shifts perfectly fine with this little 670cc engine, right? And vibration is at absolute minimum compared to the F800R. F800R is like a very vibey machine. I don't know, they're all parallel twin. I don't know why the F800R just vibrates so bad past like 4500 RPM. And this one, even on the highway, it's not vibing at all. Like 70 to 75, no vibration. Could be something to do with the aftermarket tooth that the seller put on, which made vibration come on earlier as opposed to the stock tooth on the F800R. And that's one thing that I noticed. The dashboard displays rather useful information, but nothing fancy, and is rather limited in terms of information that it displays. You have a trip meter, A and B. You have the odometer total, all on the lower left corner. You have a fuel gauge, which is quite nice. Speedometer is digital, as well as tachometer. They're all digital. I actually prefer the F800R's display because it's quite a lot more useful. With a lot more information, but this one, you know, and it's got a clock, so it works for commuting, going A and B from point A to point B. Yeah, the car on the back is rather annoying, so let's try to split just a little bit. All right, it works. And this road is usually quite crowded, but today is Christmas Eve, so nobody's here, and I guess it's rather nice to ride, and I don't anticipate a lot more traffic. We're already more than halfway to work, a lot more traffic going to work, so it's a nice ride. And I wouldn't be afraid if there's a lot of traffic. Again, this clutch is so easy to work on. It's very, very nice. My only concern, okay, for this bike is it's too quiet. Even with a aftermarket exhaust, it's like super quiet. Okay. But you can see this bike pulls. It's agile. No car is gonna be able to catch you at a traffic light in the city. That's all you need, right? So again, I'm really happy that I got this bike, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, and you can literally ride this bike forever if you don't sell it. It might look beat up, the engine might be, the paint might rust a little bit, but it will never stop running on this bike. So in that regard, huge respect for Honda for designing a bike that is just a perfect city commuter, right? So love it. Don't know what else to tell you guys. The chain on this bike, it's chain drive, but I'm not anticipating a lot of maintenance on the chain. If you lubricate it properly and you always check the chain wear, this bike should last you quite a long time on the chain life. Is there anything that I would like to change about this bike? maybe just slightly lower seat height. Since this bike is going to be used mostly in the city, really no point going this high with the seat height, right? So I think your option to lower the seat, maybe there are some aftermarket options, maybe. But what I feel like with this bike, it's a little bit taller, is that going traffic lane splitting, it still feels less confident compared to the F800R, and I'm thinking it's probably because of the height of the seat. It makes me feel like this bike's got less clearance, but in reality the clearance of the motorcycle and this is probably very, very similar of the F800R and NC700. Alright, we're gonna make a turn here as opposed to go straight ahead. But love this bike. Love this bike. Cheap thrill, cheap fun for city commuting. Super easy to ride. Absolutely super easy to ride. Now, would I recommend this for a first bike? Probably not. For your first bike, you definitely want something that you can put both feet on the ground for. And for this one, it's just my tip. So it's gonna, if you're not good with handling motorcycles, you might fall. So definitely get something shorter. But in terms of power, this is actually great. So if you're a taller rider, this will be a great first bike. If you're a shorter rider, look for something else that are a little bit shorter, around 650, to 700 cc. It will suit you very, very good. Would I recommend F800R as a first bike? Probably not. That's for someone who wants to go a little more hooligan on the bike to get. It's easy to ride for sure, but I don't think it's a safer option for a first bike. Okay, just my opinion. And again, this windshield has blocked quite a lot of airflow to the bottom of my helmet, so it keeps fogging up. I might just get a shorter windshield in the future and solve this issue for commuting in the city. And a difference between the DCT model, okay, the DCT does the shifting for you, but it does it based on a economic factor. If you don't switch to sports mode, it always undershifts, which makes the engine lug quite a lot, and I don't like that. Like, I like my engine to be shifting at around 2500 to at least 2500 RPM. So in that regard, I also don't like the DCT model. It's for people who never wants to learn how to shift properly. But I think learning shifting is actually the fun part of riding a motorcycle. Otherwise, you would just get a scooter. It's a lot more convenient and quite a lot less maintenance cost. Okay, so DCT model, again, for people who might be disabled, unable to shift, but they want a option to get on motorcycle. But always get the manual if you can, because this gearbox and this gearing for the shifter is perfect. It's like it's designed to be in manual mode, if you ask me. Not to be in automatic mode, at least for this gearbox. The mirror is much better than the F800R. No vibration, even though this mirror is a little loose. There is no vibration even during a 70 mile, 75 mile per hour riding. So I love this mirror design. The BMW mirror is literally crap. It just vibrates so bad. even above 40 miles per hour. So I love this one. Yep, mirror works great. The grip on this is not it's not stock. It's actually aftermarket, and I can see some parts loose. So I definitely want to eventually get a stock grip put on this bike so it can be ridden properly. All right, let's go to work. Alright, so we rode safely to work. Parking lot is rather empty. Looks like a lot of people is spending quality time at home with family. But I do enjoy riding the NC700X to work. This is the first ride to work video on the NC700X. And now I'm gonna actually put the helmet in this super useful trunk. Okay. Alright guys, check it out how much stuff that this bike is gonna hold. So my jacket is here, gloves, rain gear, always here, and I can close this. I took my backpack out, and this is the full face helmet. Okay, it's a rather large helmet. I took my mount off, put the mount on the side, and I'm holding the Osmo Action 5, and at this moment I can very safely close. Let's lock this and close this. Helmet is there. I take my backpack, I go to work. I don't have to take any of those things with me, and that's why I love the NC700X, and that's why I always wanted to get one, and now I have one, and I'm really happy about it. All right, a quick half day of work, and I am ready to ride back home. Again, really not much to complain about this bike. I actually enjoy it so much that I think I'm having a second thought about keeping my BMW F800R. So, riding back to home, I don't know if I'm gonna have anything else to talk about the NC700X, and if I have, I will just fast forward and show you guys my comments. Otherwise, enjoy the ride, and hope you found this video helpful in helping you making a decision on whether you should get this bike or not. But just, you know, personally for me, this thing, because of that, I would definitely want to get another bike. If newer, I'm gonna get the NC750X when the opportunity comes. Otherwise, I love this bike as is. Time is 12:30. Let's see how long it takes to get home. Usually less than 30 minutes if there's no traffic and on holidays, but I can feel the brake definitely needs a good bleed, so we're gonna bleed the brake, put on some new pads in the future videos, and that's pretty much it. The seat, it's a fairly comfortable. The original seat is probably destroyed after 20,000 miles of riding and exposed to Florida sun, UV damage and things. So the seller had a aftermarket like a restitch on the driver's seat, and also just a cover on the passenger seat. So I'm gonna look at reupholstering both seats just to make it look nicer and use some better materials, hopefully. But the seat itself is pretty comfortable, nice and wide. So yeah, no complaint, really no complaint. Hopefully I can get home before the rain starts to kick in from the ocean side. Let's go. Oh, how nice. Love this bike for city riding. Gearing, clutch, everything so easy. And we are just in time to avoid a drawbridge close down, so that's quite nice too. Okay, all right, the rest of the ride is gonna be pretty good. Hello fellow riders, always love to see a fellow rider. Doesn't matter if you're on a standard bike, a cruiser, a crotch rocket, or a sports bike. Every bike is a bike, right? Even a scooter. So let's see how well it dodges the traffic. Should be pretty good. Should be pretty good. Yeah, I just feel like this bike is a little wider to be able to comfortably dodge the traffic, but compared to the F800R, that's just the general feeling. So the fueling is also slightly better than F800R, but not so much better. It's there is a gradual transition, at least when between the full on throttle and kind of a small roll off when the throttle is being released. So in that regard, it's a little bit better, and that probably also contributes to why it's a little bit easier to ride compared to the F800R. The F800R is just on-off throttle, which is kind of crazy. I'm sure the newer one, if it's ride-by-wire, it will be improved quite a lot. Not on the previous generation of the F800. So comparing the F900R to F800R. Okay. So we're gonna dodge a little bit of the traffic. And we're gonna go on my favorite route right here. No traffic, no traffic, that's nice. We can enjoy a nice little city ride for a little bit. The mirror, yeah, already complimented the mirror. The mirror is really nice. Very easy to see everything. Alright. It's gonna rain. I don't think the color from this ride back home is gonna be any good because of the cloudy day. So take it as is. Okay, let's go. But just as I am getting comfortable at motovlogging, commuting, and talking, I'm ending my my physical location work and switching to fully remote. it could be a change for good, it could be a change for bad, because I think the good thing is I'm able to take care of my my cats at home. They are all senior cats, which requires constant care. The bad is everything's going to be remote, everything's going to be on the Zoom. You are going to be losing the connection, the human connection, to say at least. But I think the benefit of remote work still really outweighs you know, physical location work. And if I want to make kind of a connection, it will be easy to make friends from a hobby as opposed to making a friends at work. And to talk about hobby, I have quite a lot of interests in a lot of things. So riders club, cycling club, kayaking club, those kind of places, I think it's a better place to make connection and make friends, as opposed to a quote-unquote work friends, right? So I think overall remote working is a better opportunity for everybody who have been given the opportunity. And people are smoking weed and driving at the same time, probably from this Jeep. Yeah, the dude's definitely smoking weed. Okay. The engine sound on the NC700 / also my previous CTX 700, it's pretty tractor sounding, and again, I think according to some European motovloggers, this is utilitarian sounding. But I don't really hate it. It sounds like an engine, right? You don't really anticipate all engines sounds like a Harley Davidson or a super loud Ducati or Aprilia or whatever. And I think in that regard, this engine is very unintrusive and good sounding. So let's keep on riding. But definitely needs to get the front tire changed. There was bulging, there was cracking. I ordered a new tire. I also went on to the WeBike Japanese website, ordered about $150 worth of parts. Hopefully would fix all the small broken parts on this bike. And this would make this definitely a keeper for such a cheap price. And I think the best way to stand on the ground on those bikes that are taller is just one foot down and the other foot on the clutch, which would make, again, things easier. Really like the positive feedback on the NC700X clutch action. It's more assuring compared to the F800R. The F800R sometimes feels like you're not clicking, but it's already it already shifted. So this one is a lot more positive. And did I mention the clutch is so light? Doesn't feel anything while I'm pulling the clutch. That's probably another big reason that I love this bike just instantly when I started riding it. So yeah, this video is all about NC700 first impression and also a comparison to my existing F800R. I can continue to talk about the comparison between this and my scooters. I had a maxi scooter, and right now I still have a Piaggio Fly 150 that I stopped riding actually once I had the F800R, and now this bike just feels much less need to ride the little scooter in the city. So I personally like motorcycles, and obviously in this case I love the utilitarian usefulness of the NC700. This is holds a lot of stuff, so that's really good. And for this bike, I'm able to actually keep a pretty low RPM at a constant speed. For the F800R, I was not able to. So that's a difference. Again, better for city commuting for sure, at lower speed. This bike, the weight is about 480 pounds, I think, fully loaded with gas and stuff. The F800R fully loaded 430 pounds, so a 50 pounds difference in weight. It does feel a little bit heavy when it's stopped and you're trying to move it around, but when started riding, they feel the same. So I think don't be discouraged by the weight difference from this bike. Even though it's a little bit heavier, it's not as heavy as the CTX 700 that I rode, which is over 500 pounds. But this bike feels light. Again, just because the overall design of this bike makes it a much better city commuter.